That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Suncoast, the directorial debut of Laura Chinn, which just premiered at the 2024 Sundance Film Festival in the U.S. Dramatic Competition. It is being released courtesy of Searchlight Pictures on Hulu, February 9th, 2024.
Directorial debut.
Semi-autobiographical.
What is this about? A teen living with her strong-willed mother must take her brother to a specialized facility. She strikes up an unlikely friendship with an eccentric activist at protests surrounding a landmark medical case.
And that case is that of Terri Schiavo.
Yeah, but the movie's not about Terri Schiavo.
No, but she's there in the background.
What is your pull quote?
A gentle melodrama highlighting the contextual necessity of ascertaining the moral reality of any ethical dilemma. It's a sweet but oversimplified narrative of families dealing with death, but it does feature a customarily excellent Laura Linney, who is well paired with newcomer Nico Parker.
So the story's pretty simple. So Nico Parker plays Doris,
who is the daughter of Tandua Newton and Ole Parker.
And her brother is being transferred to hospice due to a traumatic brain injury.
Brain cancer.
Oh, sorry, brain cancer. So she is being raised by her mother. It's a single parent situation. The mother is played by Laura Linney.
Mm-hmm.
So Doris is a high school student, and the film is just about her balancing life as a high school student, wanting to have friends, wanting to be romantic, going to prom, with dealing with her brother dying, specifically her mother, Laura Linney, making her feel guilty, basically saying, like, everything you do should be about being with your brother until he dies.
Yes, their lives are revolving around this never-ending situation that has taken years to even get to this point.
And the brother's is in hospice at the same facility as Terri Schiavo.
Uh-huh.
So they're activists out front, one of whom is played by Woody Harrelson, and he and Doris develop a little relationship, which is pretty, it doesn't take up a lot of space in the film.
No, but it's substantial because it's a sounding board for Doris, and Paul, is Woody Harrelson's character, is a man who lost his wife, and he is against the decision of Terri Schiavo's husband to take her off life support. Because if you remember that, so this is 2005 Florida. So if you remember that, it was Schiavo's husband battling her parents, and the endless kind of going back and forth of that.
So Doris has some conflict with her mother, specifically because she throws some house parties and whatnot.
Well, Laura Linney is basically like, my child is in pain. It eclipsed everything about Doris because she can't even deal with anything that Doris is doing, and you know, some significant years of Doris's life have already been soaked up by this. So she's very resentful of this, and she's, you know, it sounds callous at first, but she's tired of her brother being alive. And through her conversations with the Woody Harrelson character, kind of realizes a bit too late that, you know, you have a finite amount of time to say the things you need to say and make peace.
But everything culminates in Doris going to prom and her mother contacting her to say, I think you need to get to a hospice because your brother's going to die. And it's important to know that prior to that day, Laura Linney had contacted Doris saying the same thing, but really it was like she was faking it to basically reprimand her, like, how come I couldn't get a hold of you knowing that your brother could die any minute? Your
brother's in hospice, why is your phone not glued to your ear?
So then on prom, when Laura Linney tries to contact her, she says, this is not a false alarm. I'm sorry I did it to you before, and I understand if you don't want to come, but I really do think that he's not going to make it. And Doris leaves prom to go see her brother, but her brother has already died. So she misses being with him when he dies.
And that's probably the best moment of the film, is she has this, you know, teary monologue saying what she felt she needed to say, and finally, you know, comforted by her mother.
Did you like this movie?
I did. I mean, I like Laura Linney a lot more than you do. She reminds me of my own mother, though.
I don't think she doesn't remind me of your mother, to be clear, but I don't care for Laura Linney.
She kind of did in this. She's in a stressful situation, there's some behaviors that I recognized.
Did you cry?
I did get misty at that scene. I think that is a very well done scene, but I do think that it could have, you know, dug in a lot harder because, it's 2005 in Florida. We see Doris in one class where she has these 3 raggedy friends that end up liking her because for a period of time Laura Linney's spending the night at Suncoast with the son, so Doris's house is free to have these kids over, and one who kind of gives her a hard time and really resents that this boy likes her. But I don't know, it's touching enough. And I think Doris, is a really nice screen presence, Nico Parker, because I watched the whole thing not realizing who her parents were. And she does favor her mother quite a bit.
How's Woody Harrelson?
He's fine. He's doing the same thing he usually does. He has little character takes, like he really likes seafood and Doris can't stand the smell of it, and they watch the Super Bowl together and have not quite existential conversations, but I think there's one moment, in that class that they're in where there's these Christian boys that are railing against abortion, the Terry Schiavo case comes up, and Doris says something very articulate, which is kind of what my pull quote is referencing, is that you don't really, and she says it much more eloquently in the film, you don't really know what people are going through or what people's decisions were to lead to this point. So maybe you should back off from making some kind of definitive statement without knowing the reality.
I didn't mention that in the background there's like inclement weather.
That allows for these kids needing a party to go to, a hurricane party. So that's at one moment. I think at times the score is a little leading, especially towards the beginning of the film. But you can tell this was written from a very personal, poignant perspective, and it's not trying to get up on a soapbox, but I kind of wish there were some more definitive statements made. And I think especially with the Woody Harrelson character, because I feel like he is used as a foil. There's of course that cliche scenario where Doris finally blows up at him. I was amused at the beginning because it opens with Doris at home with her brother right before he's moved to hospice care, and she's watching television, and that's where we see the Schiavo news story, but she switches it to Anna Nicole Smith. But when Laura Linney walks into the house, she's like, "Oh, I can't stand looking at that poor woman." And then you realize she's talking about Anna Nicole Smith, not Terry Schiavo. There's also a little bit about Brad Pitt. That was when Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston broke up. And I like the dynamic between mother and daughter. It felt realistic.
What else do you want to say?
It was shot by Bruce Francis Cole. I thought it looked good. Who did a film I liked better, Farewell Amour. If you haven't seen that, I recommend it. But it was a nice enough film.
What would you give Suncoast?
3.
3 out of 5. Mm-hmm. Anything else?
No.
Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.